What's the most entitled thing my sister did to ruin my wedding? Last week, my parents hosted a family BBQ, and in the middle of it, my sister announced her pregnancy. Everyone was happy for her, and during the celebration, she asked me in front of everyone if I would let her use my wedding venue for her wedding, as she thought it was beautiful, and cannot plan it herself right now. She told me she had never talked to my mother since the day we went to book the venue. This wedding venue was one in which my fiancé and I are set to have our wedding in a few months, and the venue we have waited to be free for 3 years. Everyone expected me to say yes, but I firmly said that as much as I love her, she isn't having my venue. Well, she started crying and stormed off. As soon as she did, Nan told me that I was being selfish because she needed the venue more than I did. I tried to defend myself, and my mother said to me, "You waited 3 years? Would it have unalived you to wait a few more months? When has your sister ever asked you for something?" A few comments later, my fiancé got really mad at everyone, and we left before he absolutely tore them a new one. My sister later called me crying and said that it was unfair that I always get what I want, and that I could have done this one thing for her. My brother-in-law then called me and apologized for the inconvenience. He told me he had discussed it with my sister, and she had told him she would not ask. He is properly mad at her now, and warned me that my sister is blaming me for potentially ruining her marriage, when in reality, she has done this to herself. My father has sent me about 5 texts along the lines of, "I hope you are happy your sister hasn't stopped crying since yesterday." My fiancé and I have decided to boot my sister from the bridal party and replace her with my aunt, who is the only family member that took my side. We have not decided whether or not we will invite my family as a whole. Furthermore, my mom took it upon herself to tell on us. She called my fiancé's parents and told them that it would be best if my sister gets it because she is pregnant. My future father-in-law told them F off and basically ripped my mom a new one for expecting something so ridiculous, and that they were going to lose me if they keep playing favorites. So my mom is now crying too and saying that my father-in-law told them F off and basically ripped my mom a new one for expecting something so ridiculous, and that they were going to lose me if they keep playing favorites. So my mom is now crying too, and saying that my father-in-law is a buttface. This is just getting so pathetic. It seems straight out of a bad soap opera. My in-laws are driving to us currently, with some supper and wine, and basically told me to not worry, and that no matter what happens, that they will be my safety net update one. My sister kept berating me about the venue, and she said that I was being unfair, that she is family, and that she asked nicely because she loves me. She sent me a huge text about us being family and how I should have her back and not be so selfish. The only text I sent back was this: "I am sorry that you perceived it that way. I am sick and tired of bending to your will. My whole life I have been your servant and your doormat. Remember all the birthdays I had to share with you because you would throw a tantrum because you didn't get presents, or when you cried so that I would fill out job applications for you because you were literally too lazy to write your own CV, and mom supported you in doing that. But the thing that has hurt me most till now is when you ruined my graduation. Remember how you said it wasn't unfair I was getting the entire spotlight and you wanted in on the celebration, so you took it upon yourself to wear the most expensive dress our parents could buy you, how you made a cake for yourself and hung up balloons for yourself too, insisted to be included in every picture I took. I am done. I admit that I also spoiled you, but I will not any longer. If you want to marry so badly before your baby is born, then you could look at a different hotel that offers last-minute weddings. I have spent too much time planning my wedding to gift it to you, and if you want to ruin our relationship over this, then go ahead. I will sleep sound and safe knowing that it wasn't my fault. She only sent me a wow, you must love me so very much, and blocked me. She unblocked me this morning to send me this. Wedding planner. Hello dear, I got the message from your mother, and will proceed with the rebooking of the venue on the spot. However, this will have extra costs, as we have to change the names on the contract. Please come by my office tomorrow, so we can sign the new contract. My parents haven't actually written to me since the thing with my father-in-law. My older brother contacted me and wanted to know what happened, because he got a weird story from mom and dad. Mom had told him that I had offered previous to the BBQ to give up the venue to my sister, and that I humiliated her. I told him what really happened, and he had no problem believing me. We talked a lot about our parents' behavior, and he confessed that him moving was partly due to our parents being jerks to us. He told me that mom had gotten mad at me for betraying my family. We called my planner, and she was actually really horrified. She assured me that even if they were to call and say that I wanted it, I had to be present to make any changes. So we informed everyone that will work for us on our wedding, and they offered to hire security for that day at a reduced price. Update 2. My sister is now brigading against me on Facebook, making constant passive-aggressive remarks, and claiming I have made her depressed. I have received many messages from her friends saying that I am beached for treating her that way. I blocked every attempt at online harassment, and my sister as well. But 2 days ago, my sister's best friend egged my car. I called the police, and my neighbor, whose hobby is to look outside the window and spy on people, identified them too. She is a grumpy lady, but actually very lovely once you get to meet her. After not talking to my parents in several days, they called and asked if we could talk things out. I was wary, but agreed to meeting them with my fiancé in our apartment. When they arrived, you could tell my mom had been crying, and I honestly felt bad for 10 whole minutes. Turns out, my sister sister is just an eye hole. No medical history, no diagnosis, nothing. We started chit-chatting awkwardly. Then we began talking about the matter. My father first asked us why we canceled the caterers, to which my fiancé responded that we didn't want to have anything they could hold over our heads. Dad acted offended and said he would never do that, to which I said better safe than sorry. My mother continued with calling me disrespectful for talking in that manner to them. I called the disrespectful for all what they had said and done over the last few days. We got in a heated argument about the venue again, to which my father repeated "It doesn't matter where you get married, but the person you are marrying, bullcrap." And finally, I gave him the comeback. "Yes, Dad, exactly. But isn't it weird how that only applies to me and not my sister? As long as she is marrying brother-in-law, it doesn't matter where, right?" It was quiet, and my father was red like a tomato and gasping for air like a fish on land. My mother was quietly crying again, so I said, "Well, I am waiting for your reasoning." My father slapped his hands on the table and went on a rant about family and sacrifices and how a loving family should do what's in their power to make each other happy. I just responded, "Like how you tried to make me happy on my graduation day. You know about the time my sister smashed my cake because she wasn't in the limelight?" Quiet again. My mother quietly said, "Why do you hate us so much?" I looked at her and said, "I could ask you guys the same thing." Again, nothing. My parents knew that they had messed up, but they were not ready to admit it. My mother tried to guilt-trip me, saying that my sister is miserable, that she hasn't gone out in days because people judge her so much. My father went on a tangent on how my little sister just needs more time and attention because she is the youngest, so basically excusing her behavior. I told them that I felt hurt because I now saw their blatant favoritism, that they didn't even try to conceal the fact that they loved my sister more. My mother tried to say, "That's not true. We love you all the same." I wasn't having it. I opened a list I had written on my phone where I had written every point I could remember about them putting my sister before me. It was a very long list. Some had dates to it. Some were more specific situations. When I was finished, my parents were horrified, beet red, and near tears. They wanted to start explaining again how I was wrong, but I said that this conversation was leading nowhere. They either set family counseling up for us and apologized to me, or they won't be invited to the wedding. They left and haven't called since. Update 3. After I last spoke to my parents, they did not let go of their position. I was the bad guy. I was responsible for my sister's depression and her failing relationship. It went so far that I had to block them and change my number, as they were contacting me from relatives' phones and so on. It was a real bummer, especially during a time that should be so special. I was harassed by my sister and her entourage on Facebook and Instagram, so I simply deleted it. It was a mentally draining time, but my husband's family and friends, and my brother, helped me get through it. I had basically cut off every family member that had given me crap for keeping my wedding date. My Nan came to my door a few days before the wedding, begging to let her come. I had a long talk with Nan, and she ended up apologizing even though she still failed to see the logic in switching weddings, but she did not want to pressure me and wanted to be there for me. We hugged it out, but our relationship is not back to normal yet. The bachelor party was amazing. We were cooking until dawn, and everything turned out to be delicious. My husband made a beautiful 3-layered cake. Wedding day, the morning was really good and relaxing, but then came time to leave for the ceremony. We were at the venue taking before pictures with my friends when I saw my sister's car approaching the venue. One of my friends ran to the venue to get one of the security people that we hired. I really didn't want another Hulk smash moment at my wedding. She had been angry and crying, and as soon as she saw me, she started screaming obscenities. Apparently, I am a filthy beach that made her fiancé break up with her. She was possessed, and at that moment, I couldn't help but feel pity for her. A thing to explain is that in the mornings, the plants are always watered at the venue by some of these sprinkler systems. Thus, the earth was a bit muddy. The next thing happened really fast. My sister bent down to take mud and was getting ready to throw it at me in my dress when my maid of honor sprinted towards her and pushed her so that she fell with her butt into the flowers. The security officer arrived seconds later and removed her, and with that, I had enough ammunition to file for a restraining order against her. I didn't even want to file a police report at this point. I just wanted her to stay away from me. The rest of the day was just amazing. I married my best friend, the love of my life, and just my rock. My brother walked me down the altar. We all cried at the vows. It was just spectacular. Of course I missed my parents, but it is what it is. The celebration was very funny. My husband had studied a choreography to a Taylor Swift song with his groomsmen, and the speeches could have been from a stand-up club. We left for our honeymoon, and when we came back, I decided to start looking for jobs in a different city. I didn't want to lose my friends, but I just felt like I needed a clean break. I got a new job at a university in a bigger city, and we are currently in the process of moving. But maybe the biggest change, and also the most cliché change, is that I am pregnant. It is a classic honeymoon, baby. I have only heard through people in town about the rest of my family. My sister is still going around telling people that I was the reason my brother-in-law broke up with her, and that I was trying to dox her. She has moved in with my parents again, and refuses to work. Nan told me that the last time she saw my parents, they looked exhausted because my sister was behaving like a baby. I guess their parenting is catching up with them. I can only say that I am really happy right now. It hurts having lost family, but at the end of the day, cutting out toxic people is the best I could do.